High alert, concern for her son's safety after a neighbor called the cops on her 10-year-old who was playing outside.
That's his time to use his imagination, to play, and not have any worries. And that neighbor could have easily taken that away from him.
The mom tells our Haley Brooks she's now worried to let her son play in their own backyard. Haley.
Bob, Laura, this is 10-year-old Jackson. He told me he wants to be a Navy SEAL when he grows up. So when he goes outside to play in the trenches in his backyard, this is what he looks like. He has rain boots on, a life vest, aka a military vest, a helmet, and of course his canteen. Neighbors tell me they always see him outside and were surprised someone called 911.
Brown Police. And there's a young black man, boy-ish, walking behind my house with what he says is not a real gun.
That was the call made on 10-year-old Jackson Haynes while he was playing right here in his usual spot behind his house.
It doesn't sit well with me.
And the call to police doesn't sit well with Jackson's mother, Tamir, who says he plays here all the time.
But I could tell that he was visibly shaken. So he said that, Mom, the neighbor said she's calling the police on me. My stomach just dropped.
Tamir says she was heading to speak with the neighbor, but then
So the police were there, and all I saw was red because I was so upset. I was like, this person really did call the police on a 10-year-old.
While talking to police, the neighbor says her concern was for her bird feeder and that she's never seen the boy before.
I was like, I don't care if you walk back behind there without this pistol-looking thing. I don't care what you call it when I have bird feeders.
Sergeant Todd Crowson with the Bryant Police Department says he listened to the call and still isn't sure what the problem is.
Honestly, I don't know what he was doing wrong. He was outside playing, being a kid.
Both Crowson and Tamira say this could have had a tragic outcome.
So I don't want him to be naive to what's going on in the world, but I still want him to be a kid, as long as possible.
After taking a break from being outside for a few days, Jackson is now ready to take on his next Navy SEAL mission right here in his own backyard.
Now, I have reached out to the neighbor several times for comment, but I haven't been able to reach her yet. And police told me they haven't been able to reach her either. Bob, Laura, back to you.
Of course they wasn't able to reach that Karen-ass bitch. But before I get into this story, shout out to Attila the Q for sending it to me, and they properly titled this that this could have been another Tamir Rice. Because remember, Tamir Rice was outside in the park, 12 years old, playing with his sister, and he had a little airsoft pistol. Had a palm-colored person call the cops on him, but the cops rolled up on him and literally shot him in drive-by formation. Like, literally did not take long to get out of the car, and shot him dead in the park in front of his sister, and restrained his sister from going over to check on her brother. Like, that imagery just still plays out crazy in my mind. It's crazy to believe it's almost been it'll be 7 years in November. Because it happened back in 2014. Time is flying by so fast. But I wanted to address the call. So it's a Karen, of course, and she called. Operator answers the phone and says, "Hello, 911. What's your emergency?" She says, "Hello. There's a young black man in my." And then she said that she immediately said there's a young black man. She wanted them to know immediately that it was a black figure in her backyard. Like, she did not hesitate to say that it was a black person in her backyard or near her backyard. Like she says there's a young black man, and then she pauses. I didn't pause the video. She paused. If y'all notice, she paused. And she says, young black man, boy-ish. That is the same exact thing that they did with Tamir Rice. If y'all remember, they aged him. Tamir Rice was 12 years old when he was murdered, but they claimed they thought he was 18. And I'm looking at like, hold on, something must be really wrong with your eyes if you think that this baby-faced boy is 18. Granted, there are some people who age and, sometimes it takes a while for them to mature into their face. But if you got 18 out of that, then something is very wrong with your eyes. Now, she said that this was she said there's a black young man or young black man, meaning she aged this boy. she didn't see that he was 10 years old. Granted, she may not have known how old he was, but she aged him. And then she says young black man, and then came back and says boy-ish. She literally had a Freudian slip. She basically did the same thing that they did with Tamir Rice and aging him to be older than what he was. And they do this a lot with our black boys. They tend to age them in a way to make them seem like they're grown or mature or an adult, to take away their childlike or childhood innocence about them. See, she figures if she said young black man instead of young black boy, it would send the cops out faster to quote unquote deal with her problem. And that's probably, I think that's what they did with Tamir Rice, because I think when the person who called, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, said that he looks like he's about 18. See, if they said he looks like he's about 12, there wouldn't have been so much of a big urgency to come out there. But making him appear to be an adult would. So when she said young black man, mind you, he's only 10. He's still a boy. It makes it sound more urgent and more of an emergency to want to come out there. Now, that was one of the major things that stuck out to me, was that call. And you can tell she really couldn't get her story together, and she didn't care that she called the cops. She said that they're messing, like, this is messing with my bird feeder. Again, putting creatures and pets and animals before human beings, because shoot, they probably see them more as a human than they do see black people. They said this is messing with my bird feeder. Fuck you and your bird feeder. And man, I'm mad that the cops got to the woman's house before the mom did, because something tells me the mom was about to go put her in her place. Because she said all she could see was red. And when anyone says that all they can see is red, that means it reminds me of the Terminator. Like, I'm sure everyone who's watching this has seen the movie The Terminator before and knows what happens, you know, because through the lens of his eyes, it's red, and red means to terminate, to extinguish. And I'm sure she wasn't going to do that, but something just tells me if she wasn't going to go over there to put hands on her, she was probably going over there to cuss her out. But she said the cops was there, and that's what made her stop from going over there, because she said she was on her way there. She was on her way to her house. And then I can tell that this woman was lying, because she says that she's never seen him before or playing with this toy or what have you. But you have other neighbors who live in the community who said they have seen him outside playing in his yard with his toys before, or pretending to be a Navy SEAL, because that's what he wants to become. I mean, could you imagine being a parent and your child comes home and tells you, mommy, daddy, or whoever, or whatever they want to call you, this person called the cops on me? Like, what would your reaction be? Like, her reaction was like literally a knee-jerk reaction, was to go over there and tell her about herself. But the cops was already there. That's what stopped her from, in so many words, laying down the law on this woman. And you can tell by this woman's tone on the phone that she just didn't really care. And now that this story has, like, you know, made its rounds, and the news media is trying to contact her, they said that they can't get in contact with her. They said they tried to contact her several times. They said the cops tried to call her and get in contact with her, and they still can't get in contact with her at all, because she knows what she did was messed up. And I hope she has a guilty conscience about it. But I'm glad that it didn't break this boy's spirits. But like I have to say, and his mother kind of, you know, alluded to it, you still have to be careful of your surroundings because of the climate that we are living in. And I remember, like, one thing where she said at the end, she says, I know that, you know, as a young black boy, he has to basically be careful of his surroundings and, you know, be aware of the world that we're in, but I still want him to be a kid. And, you know, that's kind of a sad thing for a parent, especially a black parent, to have to say as it pertains to their child, because they're not, black kids, especially black boys, are not allowed to have a normal childhood nowadays, because these trigger happy PC folks, or these Karens out here want to call the cops on kids. Remember the rise of the Karens a couple years ago? I'm not talking about last year. I'm talking about a couple years ago, like it kicked off with Barbecue Becky. Remember that one chick that called the cops on this young black girl for selling lemonade, like minding her business, and tried to make it seem like it was something more than what it was? It's stuff like that. And this is a historical thing. And I talked about this before, because a lot of the times when young black boys in particular, or black men, got hemmed up back in the day, is usually because of that white woman making a call to somebody, or making some kind of a reaction of making it seem like she was being attacked by a black male of some sort, no matter what his age may have been, no matter if he was an adult or if he was a boy. And it still lingers to this day. That's why I tell people all the time that they are not far removed from their ancestors. And a lot of them will probably hear that and say, well, we didn't own slaves. Who was talking about slavery? I'm talking about Jim Crow. I'm talking about years post chattel slavery. Something that's kind of still modern. As in, if your grandparents are still alive, then they have a more close attachment than you would like to believe or hope to be. But I'm glad that this little boy is okay. And I'm sure that's probably gonna, like, you know, he had his wake up call at a very young age. Like, you know, years from now, if they ever ask him, like, what was the first time of you experiencing racism? This is the one right here. And it's crazy because I experienced racism for the first time around his age. I wasn't 10, but I think I was 12 or 13, one of the two. I can't remember. It was 12 or 13. I'm not going to go into the story, but I think I talked about it before. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end the video on that note. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this story down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe if you had not done so already. Make sure that you text the number that is pinned down in the comments below to receive notifications every time I go live or upload a new video.